Career coaching is all about helping people figure out direction. But very few people put a plan together for their career. So I encourage people to have a management plan for their career, just like they would have a plan if they're buying a house or a car. We cannot guarantee that the plan's going to go perfect, but we learn from it. Always have an updated resume. And so I always say be job search proof, meaning learn what you have to do, put the career management plan together, and then in the event that you need it, you can just pull it out, brush it off, and get going again.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 20 of Hoda's Career Info. I am your host Hoda, and my guest today is Diane Hudson. Diane is one of the industry's leading career coaches, professional resume writers, and a respected authority for private industry, military transitions, as well as Federal Résumé and Application Procedures. She's also a nationally recognized book author, article author, and book chapter contributor. She's been quoted in the CareerBuilder and other national periodicals. She's also owner of Career Marketing Techniques, LLC, a professional career coaching, resume writing, outplacement, and career management training firm. Diane is an experienced trainer as well as train the trainer at industry conferences internationally on career management topics. As an award-winning resume writer, her achievements include Best Executive Résumé Award. Her resumes, cover letters, and case studies are published in more than 60 books and periodicals. Diane is also an active member of the board of directors of the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches, PARW-CC. She's also director of the Certified Professional Career Coach Program, a certification that PARW-CC provides, which has trained nearly 2,000 career coaches globally. I am very excited to have Diane on my show and cannot wait for you to hear our chat. Thank you, Diane Hudson, for joining me today. It is a pleasure to have you on a show where I always aim to have career conversations from professionals like yourself.
And thank you.
I always like to start by asking my guests about my guest background. As many career development professionals I have found, we've always transitioned from different career paths before coming to the field. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your program, about your background, and what led you to the career field?
Okay, thank you. Well, again, glad to be here today. Glad to have the opportunity to share this information with people who will be interested. So thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, actually, gosh, started a long time ago. I got my bachelor's degree of science in journalism and communications, and that just led me into opportunities to be, writing a lot. And I remember graduating and going to the university at the time resume writing office, shop, I'm not really sure what they called it back then. And I got the draft and I said, can I make changes? And they said, no, only if you see a typo in your name or something like that. And I remember taking it home and thinking, I can write my own resume, And so I did. And then I got all these job interviews. And then I had to learn and understand that just because you get a job interview doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the offer because you don't have any experience at that point. So it kind of just lends itself. So from there, I went into a federal government position as a special agent investigator in the United States. And that required me to receive 30 days of hands-on training in interviewing and report writing. And it was almost on the borderline of interrogations, So I really was quite experienced in being able to draw information out of people. So I did that job for a while. Then I moved over to Northrop Corporation in the Human Resources Department as an employment specialist and recruiter. So I was hiring everybody from secretaries and laborers and riveters on the aircraft, all the way up to senior project managers and executive vice presidents. So that was quite fun as well. Then I moved overseas and I spent about 12 years living and working in the military environment, which was completely foreign to me. And so I literally jumped in the deep end, and I learned how to write federal resumes, and I learned how to write military conversion resumes in our federal government. I also spent about 5 years in Washington, D.C., just right outside of D.C. So I was really focusing on the senior executives in our federal government. They call them senior executive services, a specialized application that's one level down from our presidential appointees. So I write a lot of different types of resumes, and then I coach my clients to move throughout their career. So it might be military transition to corporate America or federal America, or even foreign, depending upon what they want to do, the United Nations or something like that. So it kind of evolved a little bit over time, and I became self-employed, gosh, I think probably 91-ish, something like that. So quite a long while. And then from there, I jumped into training. So the last several years, it's been flying all over the country, Puerto Rico, Japan, Italy, Germany, Spain, training either job seekers how to look for jobs and how, put their career management plan together, or training career coaches how to build their career coaching practices. So that kind of gives you an overview of who I am and what I do. So I've been a little busy.
Sounds like a very interesting journey, and I love to travel. So as you are pulling out European countries' names, and I think I'm sure you enjoyed the journey of coming to finally owning your own business, and that's exciting.
Yes.
As I shared with you before, is the purpose of this show is for me to really bring the term career literacy to the forefront and have it becoming probably trending is what we use today. For you, what about you? Like, what would you say is one of your key messages for the work that you do? And if we are to talk about the career term, what career term stands out as important to your work?
Okay. I think that for me, the key message that I provide to everybody is career management. I think that people, you've heard me say this probably too, people will plan to buy a refrigerator or a car or a house or whatever it is, and they'll linger over it for months, and they'll save the money that they need, and they'll write a plan. But very few people put a plan together for their career. And so they have to learn to manage the career itself. So where do you start from the beginning? For example, when I worked at Disneyland while I was, paying my way through college, I certainly never planned to stay there long term, but I ended up being there 5 years, and I was able to completely bankroll my entire college time. So that was, an excellent opportunity. And when I think about it, I never had a plan beyond that. Where was I going to go? So I took these resumes and applications, and I just kind of, sent them out to job openings, not really realizing what long-term would look like. So I encourage people to have a management plan for their career, just like they would have a plan if they're buying a house or a car, so that they write it down. What is the action plan? What are the goals? What do they want to attain? A lot of people will get stuck in a job that just happened because they got out of college, they got their first job, they stayed there 10 years, 15 years, but they don't love it. It's not really what they intended to do or be. And so writing those goals down, writing those career interests down, writing what motivates you and what interests you, and then putting that plan together. Who are the people that can help you with that plan? I call them accountability partners, but who are the people that you can contact and say, help support me? Maybe it's a career coach, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a business partner of some kind. What are your goals long term? Is it a really big salary, or is it a job that really makes you happy? Is it working in an office? Like I have a beautiful office where I look over, there's a park outside my front yard. If I had my choice, I'd be looking at the ocean. As you can see in my background, I'm an ocean girl, okay? But some people say to me, Diane, I can't work unless I have an office that overlooks the ocean or the mountains or whatever it is. Okay, so what's important to you? And then that becomes part of the career management. You have to have a resume today. You have to have a LinkedIn profile today. You have to know how to interview well. I'm interview prepping a gentleman right now, and our first kind of mock interview session wasn't so good. And he was talking all over the place and he wasn't telling coherent stories. And this morning when we worked together, his stories are really flowing well. He's telling me what I need to know in terms of how it's focused on that specific question that I asked him. I think he's going to do very well in his interview tomorrow. So we have to practice, but that's part of the plan. What are you going to wear to the interview? What happens if your interview is a Zoom meeting? Do you have the equipment to manage that? So it's all part of a career management plan. When do you want to retire? What age? Do you want to be 55, 62, 65, 70? You know, what age do you want to be when you retire? Do you plan to move up in the company you're in, or do you plan to lateral over? Do we have rabbit trails during this career management plan? Do we have things that happen like COVID, for example? Absolutely. We cannot guarantee that the plan's going to go perfect, but we learn from it and we learn, oh, I got laid off. What can I do during that time frame? I always wanted to work in this field. Let me go get a credential or let me finish a degree. You know, so you can take your career management plan and you can adjust it as you move through it. So career management planning is what I would say is the message from me to all of my clients. One of the things I tell everybody is always have an updated resume in your desk drawer or on your desktop. But the point is, if someone asks you for a resume, you should be able to say, sure, I got one right here, rather than, oh, give me a couple of weeks and I'll get it to you, which is typical. That is very typical. So yeah, that's my message for management planning, I think.
I love that advice, and I love the idea of having a career management plan. But I also love everything you said. Like you use the term accountability partners. You taught it to me, and I still use it. I tell you, I use it everywhere because that's who they are, can be, and who they are. Definitely getting us motivated to move forward. You talked about one client. And what I'd like to ask you to do, again, for the purpose of education, is would you be able to describe your typical client? Who would you typically work with in your business?
In my business, because my business is niche now, I work with a lot of military personnel, senior level military officers who are transitioning either into the federal government or into industry. And so I have to convert or translate all of their military background, which is quite a big undertaking because they will come at me with a bowl full of acronyms and jargon, and they put it on their resume, and most people don't even understand what they're trying to say. So I spend a lot of time working with them on how do we translate this jargon? How do we translate sergeant or colonel or major? These are ranks in the military. How do we translate? They have what they call qualifiers or the number of their jobs. So it might be a 95 or it might be a 31. So in the civilian world, we would never know what those things mean, but it might mean human resources, or it might mean cavalry in the sense that, you know, they're working in the trenches. So all those things have to be translated. And then they use acronyms like COCOM. You know, what does COCOM mean? Or what does CBRNE mean? COCOM are major commands around the globe, and CBRNE is chemical, biological, nuclear, radiological. So when I'm working with my clients, I have to know and understand those. So I first of all help them make the translations, and then we prepare their resumes, both for industry typically and federal, because they are interested in pursuing both of those opportunities. And then from there, as we're translating and we put that resume together, then I'm training them. It's kind of naturally, it's coaching them to understand that when they get in that job interview, they can't just say, I'm a sergeant and my qualifying number is 31 or 95. You know, they have to be able to explain that in the interview. So we take that to the next level. Because they've been in uniform their whole career, I have to work with them on what they're going to wear in the interview process. Where some of our colleagues don't have to do that because the clients are coming from already an industry situation where they either wear a polo shirt or a coat and a tie or whatever the culture might be. And so I have to work with them all the way through. Then they've never been involved in a civilian organization. So I also have to coach them how to onboard, how to interview, how to negotiate their salary, and then how to onboard. So I really do take my clients from A to Z. And then the other thing is, like I was saying to you, I specialize in these senior executive service applications, which are specialized. It's 10 pages of executive leadership essays based on 28 specific leadership competencies. So leading change, results driven, leading people, business acumen, and building coalitions. So I help these people develop these 10 leadership stories. They're 1 page each and 12-point font, we can't cheat. And then in addition to that, a very tight resume that's 5 pages. And then in addition to that, we have an additional anywhere from 2 to 6 technical qualification stories. So I help them write these packages, develop those stories. It's the same exact concept as if I'm helping someone make a transition from the military. It's just that we have to hit those competencies. We have to hit something specific. It's the same process. It doesn't matter who the person is. But I also help these people and I coach them for these senior executive service this interview process, because it's typically an initial panel and then another panel, and then they meet with whoever the head of the agency is going to be before they're selected for the position. So what I tell people is that even though I work with military or I work with senior executive service, the process and the methodology is exactly the same. It doesn't matter if you're coming out of college or if you're applying for this executive level position. The process is exactly the same. They still have to understand the career management plan that goes behind it. So that kind of gives you an idea of who my niche client is and how I work with them.
Thank you so much, Diane, for sharing your typical client and how you take them on a journey from beginning to end. That was really cool how you put that together. I want to, though, highlight more of your career coaching background as well as your work in the field. Because when you shared your background, you told us how you got into the field. So you joined the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches in 1995. And you became certified as a professional resume writer in 1997-98. You have also been on the association's advisory board since 2005. But more importantly, in 2004, you were asked to create the CPCC program, the Certified Professional Career Coach program, which I took and totally enjoyed. I would recommend to everyone. And if you have questions about me, feel free to reach out and talk to me. And I want to congratulate you that the program has gained international attention and it has graduated almost 2,000 CPCs. Very exciting moment. So what can you tell the audience about the program and why you think they should consider it?
Well, the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches has 3 main credentials, and just recently they've added a few more. But our first credential was the resume writer, and then the interview professional. And then when they asked me to put together the Certified Professional Career Coach program, this became the most comprehensive of our credentials. So it really focuses on, I'm going to go back to that key message of my career management. So when people call me and say, well, what can you tell me about this program? And I always tell them that it teaches you the career coaching competencies and the understanding the difference between coaching, consulting, and training. And then it goes from job search and from A to Z and career management from A to Z. And that's how I look at it. So it's quite lengthy. I think it's about 600 pages of reading. And then there's about 6 or 7 hours of video of myself as well. Some kind of fun little pieces because, we're at the Great Wall of China and we're talking about goals and getting to the top of a set of stairs and looking back down and saying, this is what you've accomplished. This is where you've come from. And this is how you're getting to your next step, which goes back to that message of my career management. So over the years, we have evolved it a little bit. It started at like, I don't know, 300-400 pages, and now we're up to over 600 pages. So we've added materials. We're updating right now, which is exciting. It's going to end up going on a learning platform here in the next, by the end of the year probably, which will make it very nice for everybody just to go right into their portal. All the materials will be in one place. In the old days, we actually mailed notebooks through ring binders with DVDs. Imagine that. Some people probably don't even know what that acronym means. And then we went online, I think 2012, 2013, something like that. So to put it on this learning platform, and then to be able to have all the testing and all the materials in one place will be really exciting, I think. And then of course there's updates happening. So there's going to be a new section on how to manage careers during, COVID or other situations like that. So it could be a layoff, it could be a pandemic, it could be a downturn in our economy like we had during the government shutdowns. So there'll be a little extra added piece on that kind of information. Over the years, we've trained this to government agencies, recruitment agencies, outplacement, individual business owners, entrepreneurs, youpreneurs, however you want to call them. Trying to think, businesses, companies who have managers who just want to have a better understanding of how to coach their employees through career management and how to move to the next level. We're finding that with the newer generation, the Gen Z, that they're wanting to create their own work schedules in many cases. They're wanting to be able to work virtually, and as long as they're working 40 hours a week, what does it matter what hours I'm working? So a lot of managers have come to me and said, hey, I want to be able to understand what they want, and I want to be able to help them better so that I can help them get promoted or move into a leadership role before they come to me and say I'm quitting. So the idea would be to keep people on longer. We have a lot of military organizations that require that their staff take the CPCC now in order to work and be able to help military personnel. And then the other one would be universities. We have just scores of universities, their career centers, who have CPCCs certified there so that they can help the students as they're making decisions either for their career future as they graduate. And sometimes it's even just for their major to determine which direction that they want to go. Because career coaching is all about helping people figure out direction, figure out where you want to go. And then the career management piece of it is actually putting the action plan together. So yeah, so we've got just shy of 2,000 people. I think we're going to hit 2,000 probably soon. And then, in the next 6 months probably, and then we'll graduate from there and just keep going. So the program has grown. We started a little coaching segment through PARWCC. They're calling it Insights, with career coaching. So we started that in October. And basically what we're going to do is focus on populations. So the first session was just talking about that there are a lot of populations out there. And then I'm going to have some guest speakers joining me, and we'll be talking about, executives and college age and moms returning to the work, those who might be incarcerated, just, different populations like that. So that's going to be really exciting too. So it's a good program. It's very comprehensive. It's turnkey. It is self-study. So a lot of people will say to me, well, what if I have questions? I said, well, save your questions, because you'll find that typically as you move through all the modules, most of your questions will get answered. Then of course, they can always call me or ask questions or join the LinkedIn group or the PARWCC forum if they do have additional questions. But it's pretty turnkey. We have a lot of really positive comments from it. So yeah.
And I definitely can add to these positive comments. I had a great time going through the modules, but it was also nice to have the videos, and that when I was tired of reading and focusing, I would go to the videos that would get motivated to say, okay, this is cool. Now I can go back and refocus. So truly a great program to do, especially on your own kind of thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I do have one final question for you, Diane. And you talked about this program and how you've really developed it and changed it. But do you have any other unique or new projects going on right now or going into 2022?
Well, like I just sort of kind of mentioned, we just started this coaching insight. I guess we're going to kind of call it a series over the course of the year. We don't have the next one scheduled, but we're probably going to get them scheduled starting at the first of the year, and we'll probably go every other month or so. So we're going to get that off the ground and going. We're also looking at putting together a federal certification. So I'm working on that right now, and that will probably come out hopefully in 2022 before we're going to have our conference. So our conference for PARWCC is in April of 2022. I don't remember the exact dates. I think it's around the 25th or 27th of April 2022 in Clearwater, Florida. So that's exciting because we all haven't all met since 2019 because of the pandemic. So hopefully we can all come together again and communicate and network. And then we'll learn about the federal certification that we're working on and talk about the CPCC being on the new platform, the learning platform. So we do have some fun things in the works for 2022 that will be rolling out after the first of the year. So that's all really exciting. So yay.
Yes, very, very exciting. And me being part of the, members, I really enjoyed the conference. Absolutely. Everybody was nice, everybody looking to support each other. And I met a few people who I've collaborated a little bit with as well. So a great association to be a part of. I haven't regretted my membership fees for sure.
Oh, that's good.
So I thank you so much for answering this question, Diane. And I usually wrap up by asking if there's anything else you want to add, something you hoped I would ask you but didn't before we close.
Okay, well, thank you. I think you covered a lot of ground there. We talked a lot about career management and the CPCC program and what I do. So I think probably just wrapping up, I would say to everybody who's listening to the call, just always be prepared with a resume in your desk drawer on your desktop and have that career management plan in place so that in the event that a COVID or a pandemic or shutdown of the government or anything else crazy happens, that we're always prepared, because we always want everybody to be in a job that they enjoy, be in a job that compensates them well, and be in a position to not have to struggle in between jobs. And so I always say be job search proofed, meaning learn what you have to do, put the career management plan together, and then in the event that you need it, you can just pull it out, brush it off, and get going again. So learn the skills to be able to put together a career management plan together and a job search, which is something we don't typically do. But it's important that as potential job seekers, and eventually we all are at some point in time, that you're just prepared. So, but thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Diane, for your advice and for your support of this program. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I loved how my chat with Diane Hudson highlighted how she supports her clients and how she takes them on an A to Z career management journey. I would love to hear your thoughts on my chat with Diane Hudson. You can connect with Diane on one of her two websites, polishedresumes.com and cpcc-careercoach.com. Diane is also on LinkedIn. I am your host, Hoda, and until next time, keep moving forward in positive and productive directions.